Hi, I'm astrologer Penny Dix, and welcome to this week's Astro Witter. It's November the 12th. Jupiter has gone retrograde yesterday. I'm going to have a quick look at that. Mercury, as we know, is already retrograde. I'm sure that's creating havoc in some people's lives. And we have geomagnetic storms as I speak. And so we could find we have lots of technical blackouts and glitches along with Mercury's retrograde motion. And what else am I going to talk about today? So there's the Jupiter, and then of course tomorrow Mars and retrograde Mercury will be conjunct in Sagittarius. But let's start with Jupiter going retrograde, because I did talk a little bit about this on Sunday in my live, and I said I would go into it in a little bit more depth today. So let's have a look. So it actually went retrograde about 24 hours ago, And it was at exactly, what was the degree it was at? So it's gone retrograde in Cancer at 25 degrees and 9 minutes. And it doesn't go direct again until the 11th of March, 2026. And it will have gone all the way back to 15 degrees and 5 minutes of Cancer. And when it actually goes direct on the 11th of March, it won't reach 25 degrees again, where it is currently, until the 6th of June, which is 2026. So, we're going to have this Jupiter energy and the retrograde shadow that will be going through for really the next 6 months. But I'm going to look at what that means and how we work with that and how we can work with it constructively. Because Jupiter also, just to give you a heads up about it, will finally leave Cancer and move into Leo. But that's not till the 1st of July. So, first of all, let's look at what Jupiter is doing, because Jupiter in Cancer is at the moment part of this grand water trine, and it is going to remain part of this grand water trine for a while, because at the moment it is trining Saturn, that is also retrograde in Pisces, and widely Neptune at 29 degrees. So we've got this that is also retrograde. So we've got this energy, and today, or rather yesterday when it went retrograde, it's also trining the sun. And of course, we're moving up to a new moon, which is on Thursday. Anyway, it's on the 20th of November, which is next week, but I can't remember which day it is. It's next week anyway. And we've got Mercury retrograde. So we've got a lot of retrograde energy. We've got a lot of going back to re-looking at. We've also got this sextile between Uranus and Neptune, which is going to be ongoing for a little while. And, so there's quite a lot of energy to unpack, because, Jupiter is a spiritually cleansing frequency. And I think that we have to look at the planetary themes, which is growth, belief, generosity, expansion, opportunity, wisdom, faith. And remember, with expansion, you get expansion of the positive and you get expansion of the negative, because it doesn't discern, unless we work with it, which way it's going to go. Now, I see the retrograde as Jupiter going into a retraction. It's contracting. That is my own personal feeling of what's happening. And what I'm doing, and anyone else who is in a similar situation to me could try and do, depending on where it is in your chart. And remember, Jupiter's in Cancer, Cancer, nurturing, feeding, food, mother. I've put on a few pounds over the last few weeks. I'm working with Jupiter retrograde to reduce that. So I'm consciously thinking of it in my, I'm trying to keep it consciously in my conscious mind. And I'm using it to stay mindful of just being mindful about what I consume, what I eat. And I'm hoping that that will empower me to actually stay with this energy of contraction. And the fact that Jupiter is trining retrograde Saturn in Pisces gives me a little bit of encouragement, because I think, I can pull in some of that Saturn energy for contraction. It's a trine, it's helpful. So I think I might find this quite easy. So I just give that to you as a thought. And we mustn't forget the themes of Cancer: home, belonging. Where do we belong? Emotional security, ancestry, nourishment, protection. And Cancer, of course, is cardinal. It's a water sign. So cardinality means it initiates. So me using Jupiter retrograde in Cancer to lose weight, I'm using that cardinal energy to initiate my weight loss. I'll let you know how I get on. But it's not particularly in a part of my chart that works well with it, because it's in my 6th house. Sorry, my 12th house. But what I was thinking is it's opposite my 6th house, which of course can be health and the body. So I'm experimenting, and do try these things. With astrology, there doesn't have to be hard and set rules about it. It's like this wonderful cosmic playground. Just go in there and think, oh, okay, what does this mean when it's there? Oh, well, I think I'll use that too. And the planets are going to rejoice. They're going to say, yes, this is what we want. We want you to do this. We want you to use us in this creative way. So this is Jupiter retrograde, is expansion turned inward. And if we look at the energy in the chart when it turns retrograde, it's moved, it's on a very wide opposition to Pluto. And it won't really have that opposition till next year when it moves into Leo. But it's an outer sign wide opposition, but it's wide. And so we do have that transformative power of Pluto to, let's say, empower one with using the reductive qualities of Jupiter retrograde. And as I said, because it's pulling in the frequency of the Saturn in Pisces, which is saying, here, have some of my contraction frequencies. Neptune there, don't get distracted. Neptune might distract us. We might go off thinking, oh, maybe that's rather a nice looking creme patisserie or chocolate croissant. So don't get carried away with those musings. And remember, we've still got this Uranus sextile Neptune. So Uranus is there to wake us up, to say, come on, you can't just sit there daydreaming. You've got to do something. And of course, we do still have Jupiter retrograde, and it's going to move closer again to an exact square with Chiron. Healing might be hard, might be tough, but it can come through this square to Chiron. So you see, the actual chart gives us a lot of information about how we can work with Jupiter retrograde. So let me see, what does the retrograde motion intensify? Well, I think, depending where it is in your chart, it's about self-reflection because it's Cancer. And it's the intuition, it's emotional intelligence. It's about compassion. Jupiter is exalted in Cancer. So it might be that you are or will go through a renewing or a renewal of understanding what your spiritual beliefs are. Your intuitive beliefs. You may have moved or found that you've drifted away from being in touch with your gut instinct. And I think Jupiter retrograde will help you reconnect with that. It's also if we take the family side of it, it's a great time to revisit the past, heal old emotional or family wounds, and to maybe realign our sense of belonging. And where do we belong? You know, one of the pulls I have to go home to England is that I feel I belong there. And yet I don't feel I belong in the place I was living before, which was Southeast London. I believe, or I feel, I belong in Sussex. I cannot quantify it. I cannot justify it. I can't. It's not a. It's just a. That's where I need to be. It's where I need to be. And so maybe you need to also think about where you need to be. For many, many years, I needed to be in Gozo. And that stood firm till maybe 18 months ago. And then I started to shift and to change. And so that now Gozo's just a place I'm staying and make the most of until it's time to take my flight home. And it is home. In spite of all the naysayers and the, oh, England's in a terrible state, and oh, the government this, and all this, and all this. And well, it is what it is. I'm not going home because of that. And there are challenges everywhere. Whichever country I live in, there will be challenges, and there are always bills to pay, and there's always tax to pay. And yes, in some places we have to pay more. But sometimes that price is worth paying. And, you know, money isn't the only valuable thing in life. Health and well-being come way above all of that. So you may find while Jupiter is in Cancer going retrograde till March 2026, and then in a sense till July 2026, that you may reevaluate your security. Where do you belong? Where do you belong? Maybe what I've been saying will make you question yourself about that. What is home? Where is home? So that it might not just be me that is on the move. And it may be many people who one thought, oh, they'll never move, they'll be there forever. And suddenly you hear they've gone. They've packed up and gone. And I think that if we look at this also from a political standpoint, there may be more issues coming up in the public arena about housing, food prices, care systems. That can be a theme that will come up. I think the world will be focusing on its emotional resilience, and if it has any, and how we protect ourselves collectively. And I think that's one thing that Cosmic Interstellar Object 3I Atlas, as Stefan Burns has pointed out, will be making all the space agencies and governments aware of. We need to think very seriously about how we protect our planet. Because one of these days, one of those asteroids or cosmic interstellar objects might hit us and wipe us out like it did the dinosaurs. So is there anything we can do before such an event, to give ourselves a chance to keep, collateral damage, to limit it. And maybe Jupiter, in many ways, is part of the awakening that is coming through Jupiter's retrograde now. And also it's interesting because 3i Atlas will fly past Jupiter, not till the beginning of next year. I think it's in March. And it will actually then proceed away and out through the edge of our solar system and back into interstellar space. But I think what's interesting is Jupiter is the last planet it will connect with in our solar system. And so maybe there's a sign and there's a meaning in all of that, and we will have to ponder upon what all that means. I think Jupiter retrograde in Cancer as well can bring up cultural revivals, a real yearning for connecting with roots and genealogical research. Maybe more people joining up to find out what their DNA is telling them. And that through the past we learn, because the past is our teacher. And often this is what we lose touch with. Each generation thinks it's got all the answers, but actually, if only we would listen to who's gone before, we will find that they've worked it out the hard way. And that if we just slowed down, we could actually just, get there a bit easier. Cancer, remember, is a sign of empathy. Couldn't think of the word. It's empathic. And that combined with Jupiter's strong spiritual belief can create emotional truth. But how that has to match our moral values. So a question we could ask is, do my boundaries reflect what I believe about love and family? So these are things that we can think about. So I think it will help us redefine our definition of home. Look at the family narratives that have been going on and give forgiveness where forgiveness is due. And creative work, projects around ancestry, and going through old photo albums, learning from the past. It's a great time to just ground ourselves, to be still. It's great to connect with the ocean because Cancer is a water sign. It's cardinal, it moves, it initiates, and we're part of this grand water trine. To not get overwhelmed and drowned by this water, we have to flow with it and swim with it. I think we have to avoid getting involved in others' problems with this energy. There could be too much of an empathic savior part of us that can come out. So don't get caught in others' emotional dramas. And it's not the best time to note to self to actually complete a house move. So for me, it would be better if my house move doesn't actually complete until it turns direct in March. And let me remind myself when that is, because this is a note to self. So it doesn't, it's mid-March and it is the 11th. So, and actually, what's interesting? I think that probably is the most likely time from then on for the completion of the sale to go through. So that is quite interesting. I just love tracking all these things alongside the astrology. But I think I've witted enough about Jupiter today. And I think what we have to do is also look at what is going on with Mercury conjunct Mars, which is today, which is November the 12th, Wednesday, November the 12th. They are conjunct in Sagittarius at 6 degrees and 4 minutes. Well, I haven't looked at the news lately, so I don't know what's going on out there in the big wide world. What I do know is that the moon today, at the exact moment that Mercury and Mars are conjunct, is squaring Uranus. So it could be that surprising news comes out again today. I wonder if we're going to see disruptions to travel. That's what's coming to me. Unexpected disruptions to travel. And it could be, of course, I'm thinking about Stefan Burns's recent video about the electromagnetic storms and the plasma bursts that are, as we speak, coming from the sun to planet Earth. And they may cause disruption in in electrical systems like, say, air traffic control or just electrical systems in general. So there may be glitches in the system, difficulties, travel problems, and that's going to be around for a few days, which is interesting because it links in with the energy of this astrology configuration. The other thing that we may hear of with this energy, because Uranus in Taurus can mean earthquakes, and apparently the geomagnetic storms can affect the tectonic plates to bring about an earthquake, earth movement. So that may be the surprising news that comes out, which can cause disruption, of course, to travel, depending where it is. Now, any of you that have not seen me before or are new to my channel, I get this information from Stefan Burns, who is the astrophysicist and geologist, and he has a channel where he looks at space weather, solar activity, and he tracks earthquakes and volcanic eruptions, and he blends it in with the astrological metaphors of the meanings of the planets. So, yes, now what will we make of this on a personal level? Well, we might have a short fuse with someone today or around today. So be careful, be mindful, and maybe don't get caught into debates. We'll have to see what's going on in the news, because that'll give us a little bit of a insight into what's happening. So that's Mercury conjunct Sagittarius. And it's, what are the overall views? It's fire, it's mutable, heated words, verbal assertiveness, accidental honesty, and it's a think before you speak day. This is a day when we could really hurt someone with our words, so be mindful of that, because Mars is going, quick, 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 I want an answer and I want it now. And Mercury says, right, you're going to get it then. And you get uncensored truth, raw, uncensored truth. So be mindful of that. And there could be fiery debates about beliefs, about spirituality, about religion, all sorts of things. And because we will be rushing with what we're saying, we'll be reflecting later and thinking, I could have put that in a better way. Why didn't I slow down? And Mars is retrograde, Jupiter's retrograde. Everything is, we're all over. It's discombobulating us. So what else? I think just be aware that there may be some rearranging to do with travel plans that can come up around now. So I think it's important to slow down before you reply to anything. Read through anything very carefully before you sign it. If you've got loads of energy and you feel frustrated, channel it into exercise, or do a really difficult crossword or something like that. If you've got mental energy, just use it. And I think it's also important to be mindful of electronic gadgets, cars, anything like that, because they may get glitches. And that so fits in with the solar weather as well. So it is extraordinary how the astrology is mirroring what's going on the sun. And it's not all connected. I think so. Be careful how you drive today. Drive mindfully. Don't react to provocation. And don't take offense. Because retrograde Mercury will distort what you're hearing. Your filtering will be negative rather than thinking, hang on a minute, they said you're late and you've got this to finish, but I'm so glad that you got that contract. So that you don't hear the, I'm so glad you got that contract. You only hear the, you're late, I hope you finish that job I've set you. You know, we have selective hearing. That's called filtering. So be mindful of that. So let me see. I am going to give you some more words and quotes because this is still with the same theme of courageous communication that I had on Sunday, because I thought I wasn't going to read them all out Sunday. I would save some for today. So let me see if I can remember the ones that I didn't read. Let's have these. Let's have a look at the power of voice. Rumi said, raise your words, not your voice. It is rain that grows flowers, not thunder. That's very descriptive of today's energy. Martin Luther said, if you want to change the world, pick up your pen and write. Or make YouTube videos. Just saying. Cushion Wisdom, whoever they are, said, words are free. It's how you use them that may cost you. And that's like the word police, isn't it? That we have to be so careful to say, to not have our words misinterpreted and be sent to prison for saying something that somebody might take offence at. I'll try and be careful. A proverb was, a gentle tongue can break a bone. True. Mahatma Gandhi said, the voice of conscience is gentle, but it's persistent. And then we've got some which are conscious and compassionate speech. And this first one is a Sufi proverb. Before you speak, let your words pass through 3 gates. Is it true? Is it necessary? Is it kind? And we all know that one. And we often don't operate within it, do we? Don Miguel Ruiz said, be impeccable with your word. There's an unknown quote here, which is, say less, mean more. Mary Ann Radmacher said, courage doesn't always roar. Sometimes courage is the quiet voice at the end of the day saying, I will try again tomorrow. And finally, we have an unknown, which is to communicate courageously is to reveal the truth of your heart without harming others. Okay, so there we go. So we have Mercury retrograde, we have Jupiter retrograde, we have Mercury conjunct Mars today. It's all happening on planet Earth. With that in mind, I really wish you a wonderful day. Take care on the roads, etc. Be careful, be mindful. Use the retrogrades positively. And remember to like, comment and subscribe. And if you would like to book a session with me, maybe see what's going on for 2026, then you can email me at penny@pennydix.com. The website is pennydix.com. And in the meantime, I really look forward to seeing you again very soon. Bye for now. Bye.